What is up? The Week 14 edition of Matchup Points, the live stream here at fantasypoints.com. Coming at you right now live at 6:32 p.m. Eastern. I'm John Hansen. Brett Whitefield and Adam Caplan are ready to rock and roll. Our guy Tommy T on the other side. It is the final week of the regular season. We certainly have some hashtag analysis here. Guys, I'll get right into it. I'm sure you're doing well. We start, of course, with the Thursday night affair, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. Adam, injuries here. You know, I certainly fully expect Najee Harris to play, but what else is popping here?
No, but Pop Douglas is out. We've known that with a concussion.
Well, it's not popping.
Yeah, so exactly. He's out. Their line has had a bunch of injuries, but they're doing the best that they can. We'll talk to Brett about what their offense looked like last week. But obviously, Stevenson's out with his ankle injuries week to week. And the only question is behind Zeke Elliott, what they do tonight. Mm-hmm. So, will they use Ty Montgomery, who got a carry? They need some juice behind Zeke because Zeke has no juice anymore. So I'm interested to see what they do there. And then for the Steelers, their one issue is that inside linebacker, and why I think there might be a little bit of success for New England running the football. They're down. They started the season with four guys who could all play. They're down to two of them. One of them is Landon Roberts, who's also hurt with a groin injury, who is a true game time decision. After pregame workout, they'll make that decision. But that's I guess the only positive you could say right now is that maybe New England might be able to run the ball a little bit.
Yeah, they are giving up numbers to tight ends, but Brett, are you giving any consideration to using any receiver in this offense with Bailey Zappi based on basically the tape and all the data?
I mean, no, I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
No, because we expect Devontae Parker to get that shadow.
Yep, look at shadow from Porter. I mean, I like Levi Wallace against somebody, but like Tyquan Thornton has done literally nothing in this league. Zappi.
I thought of that. The speed, right? Because Wallace lacks speed.
Yep.
Well, on the other side, all the data we have at the Fantasy Points data suite, Brett, as you know, is, liking the schematic matchup, at least for the receivers. I'm going with over 41.5 yards for Deontay. His boy Trubisky target share was team leading, him and Allen Robinson last week. Former guys who played together before this year. Trubisky and those dudes. Any thoughts on Trubisky, the passing game? I do like Deontay.
Yeah, I like Deontay a lot. So all the Pittsburgh receivers technically have good matchups on paper. We've just seen New England kind of erase certain teams' passing games. I mean, they completely destroyed the Chargers last week on the defensive side of the ball, that is. The schematic matchup is there. I just don't know that I trust Trubisky to get anything going here. This is really tough for me, John. Really bad matchup.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, there's probably only one fantasy big play to be had in the passing game, like a, 20-yard touchdown or something. It'll be Pickens or Deontay most likely. Betting on Deontay here, Najee Harris. I mean, I would think he would get the volume here, Adam, right? I mean,
unless his knee won't allow, because he's on a short week with a knee injury and he didn't participate in any of their walkthroughs. The question, as I understand, is not whether he'd play, it's can he take his full complement of work tonight? That's the only issue. By the way, a very strong personnel source watched the Steelers' offensive tape after Pickett got hurt. Very conservative with Mitch, very conservative, and this source swears it had nothing to do with the rain.
Yeah,
it just felt like it was a little bit much of the same when Matt Canada was here. So just let's. I know it's not easy to throw it against New England, but because they're scheme based, not talent based, that's always been their deal.
For sure, they're very stingy right now. They did take a couple of shots to Deontay, but I hear you.
It was this guy. This is what this guy does for a living, and he said this look, and this guy knows the Steelers tape really well because it's his job. And he said it looked a lot like it was not like 2 weeks ago when Mike Sullivan called a great game. It was okay. Let's help Mitch out. He's coming off the bench cold here. Let's not ask him to do a lot. But see, Trubisky, John, to your point, he does have an arm. Like that's always been his deal. Now he's not an accurate thrower. We know that's an issue. But if it's there, you got to think because their pass our group, John, is healthy. That's not the issue.
And also, by the way, New England's pass rush is non-existent, basically. So, he should have time to throw it. But I think we already spent too much time on that game. Let's move on to Tampa at Atlanta. What do we have going on here injury-wise in this game, Adam? Obviously, A.J. Terrell is the biggest one.
Yeah, so he is progressing through the protocol. He's not been fully cleared yet. Tomorrow, their hope is that tomorrow he gets cleared. So that's good. For the Bucs, Jamel Dean almost certainly won't play. He's in practice since he got hurt. No, this is a big one. Vita Vea has a toe injury. Now, there are plenty of times where he doesn't practice the first 2 days. There's limited Friday, then he plays. So I wouldn't say he's not playing. Devin White almost certainly won't play with his foot injury. Godwin was just rested. He's not hurt. He's good to go. Now, the question is, will he get involved? And Dave Canales owned up to it. He said he's got to get him the football. He knows that. But we've watched Godwin this year. It's the passing game. It's 1 and 1A is Mike Evans. That's not going to change. So that's kind of where they're a little bit banged up at the inside linebacker position. But Levante David has been cleared to play.
Brett, any thoughts? Well, Adam just outlined the litany of injuries there, but this once proud Tampa run D they kind of stink right now over the last 3-4 games, right?
Yeah, they've slipped quite a bit. The last 5 games, their yards before contact per carry has jumped all the way up to like 1.6. Early in the year, that number was down around like 1.1. So they've definitely fallen quite a bit. I mean, obviously Atlanta's going to try to run the ball. The problem with Tampa's defense right now is you can kind of do whatever you want too. The pass defense hasn't been great either. Devin White has been. I mean,
his career is over as far as I'm in Tampa.
Yeah, Pewter Report put out an article today saying he should be benched, which is crazy because they've always been a huge fan of him. So for them to say that's pretty different.
That is true.
I love Pitts and Jonnu. I don't know which one is going to get the, I guess the ammo, but man, like one of those
Pitts.
You
it'll
think so?
Be Pitts. I'm playing against them in our listener league. So
be Pitts, but you can attack that defense with tight ends. The last 5 weeks, the Bucs are giving up the 3rd most fantasy points at tight ends. So really soft in the middle there.
It's a tough projection too because I'm trying to be responsible, and honestly, I mean, I really wanted to rank Pitts at like tight end 6 this week or 7, but I think I'm going to bump him up a little bit here based on that analysis. What are we going to do? We just call him the way we see him. We sleep like a baby, especially when we have the power of fantasy points data here, which, by the way, doesn't love it. Overall, I guess it's a somewhat plus matchup for Baker and Mike Evans. We're not sitting Mike Evans. Doesn't like Kate Otten for what it's worth, but which is very little. And then I don't know what to say otherwise, as we'll move on in a moment. But I mean, Drake London got a race last week. I will say that his matchup's a lot better. So that's important. But man, Des Ridder, Brett, what do you do here?
Stuff. I mean, we are giving them like a slight bump for a coverage grade matchup this week. And then with the Bucs being so soft to tight ends and so soft outside receivers, I do think that there's an angle to be had there. The only question I have is like how many dropbacks is Desmond Ridder actually going to have? Because they should be able to run the ball against the Tampa Bay defense, and we know Artie Farty wants to run the ball when he can. So.
That's a good one, Artie Farty, like old fart. Well, we do have a total of 40, which is like a freaking shootout compared to tonight with the total of 30. Well, Bijan, obviously, with that Tampa defense looking pretty good here as well. And then look, it is a tough spot for Rashad. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Like, that's it, right, Brett? I mean, Atlanta's D, they don't give up a lot of yards before contact. They kind of shut down Rashad. Yeah, my man still found a way because he caught 6 balls for like 60. But Atlanta's D is legit against the run here. It's week 14, right, Brett? I mean, I think you are where you are by week 14.
It's definitely legit against the run. It just seems like Rashad White is almost matchup proof right now. The last 5 weeks, he's number 1 in expected fantasy points, guys.
He's the RB5 on the season right now.
Yeah, so
it's crazy. Not to toot my own horn or anything, because I had like Sky Moore. Yeah. but I had him and Brian Robinson in like every team because I was going wide receiver heavy as I'm drafting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Yeah.
And invariably I'm like, well, I got to get Rashad. It took him literally every time. Brian Robinson was right there. I mean, he hasn't been great on a week-to-week basis, but Brian Robinson is RB7. Do you believe that?
Value. Yeah, John, remember now, we said White might be the best value in fantasy. You could have got him in some leagues in the 5th round. That's where he's going.
Oh, later than that?
Yeah, maybe even later. Yeah.
That. Anyways, let's see. And what else did we get wrong? You know how annoying I was on Sky Moore? Now I'm going to be annoying for the opposite. I'm never going to stop bringing up Sky Moore for, getting it that wrong. But anywho, the Rams and Ravens are next. And injury wise, Adam, nothing jumps out to me here.
A couple things here is actually important. So this is good for Cup people. He was removed from the injury report this week, no longer on it with that ankle. That's good, really good news. Higbee does not have a concussion. It's actually a neck injury. He needs to get clear. That's not good, though. It's neck. So he's been wildly inconsistent, as we know. And Puka's fine. He's got a sprained shoulder. He might wear a harness or protect it, but he's going to go. He took all his reps today. So that's really good. Bateman, if you're in a 55-team league and you need him, he'll play this week with his illness.
But Brett,
Lamar didn't work today with an
illness. Yeah, he's sick.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Brett, not a good really not a good schematic matchup on either side, but your thoughts on Stafford, Puka, Cup. Again, data not looking good. Eyeball test maybe. Marlon Humphrey back there.
Yep.
We're probably going to be on Puka a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for the LA side for sure. I think Baltimore can get away with a little bit more because of they're going to have the ability to run the ball at will, I think. So but yeah, on the LA side, I mean, Puka's going to get Marlon Humphrey a ton. That's not good. Cup should see Arthur Mollett, he's been in and out of the lineup all year for the Ravens as far as like playing time goes, and he's been stingy as heck though when he's out there. So no good matchups for them, really. I mean, is DeMarcus Robinson going to be their 3 this week, Adam?
You saw him score last week, which is out of the blue. That kind of. I'm not sure what they're doing. I have to ask what happened with Tutu.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, I know he's a smaller player, but I'm a little bit surprised. See, DeMarcus Robinson's a really good special teams player.
Right.
And I understand why he's going to play because teams love him for that. But Tutu was a drafted player in the 2nd round. That's just very bizarre what they did there. So
yeah.
Wow.
So John, the one good thing working for Puka is Marlon Humphrey. Baltimore doesn't really play sides. He pretty much plays one spot. He doesn't move around. He's not a guy who's going to shadow. So
not traveling him this year.
Right. So Puka should see like 50% of his routes, against somebody else. So that is the one nice thing for him. I think that's like the one thing you can hang your head on. But other than that, pretty tough matchup.
Yeah, and they'll probably look to run the ball as much as possible in this game in Baltimore. Might not be a great schematic matchup for Lamar either. Here, I mean, that's what the data says. Zone heavy, I guess. They are giving up some numbers here. Data didn't really love the wideout. I think it's a likely game. I mean, they have been Rams very giving to tight ends.
Yep, Rams give up a ton of tight ends. They're also really bad against the run, John. So, like especially lately, last 5 weeks, 1.91 yards before contact per carry. They're giving up the 2nd most fantasy points to running backs. Some of that's been through the air though. So, Gus isn't necessarily a good receiver, but Mitchell on the other hand could have a really nice game.
Adam, you think we're evolving into, and I kind of did predict this for their last game, but I mean, it could have been a 1 week anomaly, but do you think we're evolving into like, dare I say a 50-50 that could be a 60-40 in a week or two in favor of Mitchell?
They want to be a volume run game. So
it's sorry to cut you off, but everybody in the NFL, they love what's the hot word? Explosives, right?
No, I get that, but they also want to be a volume run game. And that's the thing that they battle with Mitchell and why he wasn't drafted is because he's so small. Very small frame, but he's got such juice as you're alluding to. Yeah, Look, this is the bet when people picked him up 2 months ago. This is the best you could hope for. You had to hang in there. Plus, he had a hamstring problem.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Gus is just not explosive. I mean, I get that he's what they want in size. He could handle volume. He's money, as you know, around the goal line. He's really good at that. But he doesn't have the juice. So yeah, I would say I would say I think it's realistic that it's a almost a 50-50. Yeah, I think you're being fair about it. But again, who's going to be their closer? It's going to be Edwards because of his size.
No, for sure. Lions at Bears. And, well, Adam, injury-wise here, I think it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, so the only question at running back for the Bears is, because Foreman definitely will be available, is what do they do now? Because the first time in months that all of them are healthy. So that's going to be fascinating because he looked really good. Then he hurt his ankle, played, and then hurt it again. Now he's good to go now. So the question would be, what's the rotation going to look like? That they're going to have to work with.
Is it fair to revert to where we were to open the season, which is Foreman being a healthy scratch there for a couple of weeks?
That's it. See, the thing is, Foreman didn't. I'm just telling you for a fact. He didn't. He earned that inactive status to start the season, no matter what you read or heard. It's not factual. I can tell you from talking to people there. He just didn't perform.
Is it a special teams deal too? Maybe
no. They signed him to be the guy.
That's true.
Eberflus wants a power running game. I'm telling you. I reported this.
Oh, I know, but then they went and drafted Roshan, so
because he's got better versatility. But they want to start with the run. Okay.
Oh yeah,
they've been unable to do it because earlier in the season their defense had all the problems with the secondary. Fields got hurt. It's just been one thing after another. This is the healthiest, John, this team has been. To be honest with you, all season. Their secondary is healthy. Tyreek Stevens will be back from his ankle injury. But no, to move this forward here, I don't know. It's usually I kind of have a good feel for these things, but Foreman finally gave them what they expected. Who do you have the monster game against? Was it Carolina?
Probably, yeah.
Thursday night
he's
game?
Crushed them.
Right. And
it used to be. It was a revenge game, of course.
Yeah, I guess. But they know that Herbert can't do that. That's the epitome of what they were looking for in Foreman. Then he got hurt again.
I will say, though,
it's a tough call.
If we're looking for anything to hang our hat on, like game script and all that, and Foreman is game script dependent, and the Bears are 3.5 point home underdogs. Brett, will the Lions get any semblance of a clue in terms of stopping Justin Fields, the runner? He's averaging 130 rushing yards per game in his last 3 matchups here.
Yeah, so I mean, they did a much better job last time they played. He had 14 designed carries for like 35 yards.
That's true.
He had 2 big scrambles that really propped that number up.
Yeah,
that rushing yardage, but those weren't designed runs. That doesn't change the fact that he's still going to scramble. I mean, that's just what he does, right? You can game plan for it all week. He's going to find a way to get out of the pocket and make you pay for that. So I do think he'll have a good amount of rushing yards in this game. I just think the Lions' run defense is their numbers are still very, very good when you adjust for the fact that the only real big plays they've given up are actually pass plays. They're scrambles, whether it was Fields or Herbert or whoever. That run defense is still really good. I think they'll shut down the design QB run game. They'll shut down the running back run game. I think they're giving up 2.8 yards per carry to running backs the last 5 weeks, which is nothing.
Wow,
that's nothing.
Yeah,
so
that's low.
Yeah, it's low, but they've been a sieve in pass defense lately. So I think, Fields' ability to create. Lions are giving up the 4th most fantasy points outside wide receivers the last 5 weeks. DJ Moore should step right in and pick up right where he left off last week, or last time they played.
Sure, he had a really good game. They're also, you guys are pretty good against the tight end for what it's worth.
Yeah, yep. Only team that's really hurt them with the tight end was the Seahawks, and that was a combination of 3 different guys that I think three different guys had a 30-yard play in that game.
Though we do have it as a slight plus matchup for Cole Kmet. He is the number 2 receiver in the damn offense. If they can't run the ball, and Cole Kmet could actually be somewhat busy, it's frustrating because it's such a low octane offense. But I've kind of learned to default to the positive with Cole Kmet. Like I said, dude's a second option in the passing game. What about your Lions against the Bears? not the greatest schematic matchup. And I got to tell you, the Bears D is pretty freaking good, man. Eberflus is tightened it up, man. They look disciplined.
Too. Healthy.
Yeah, so the Bears have come off they used to run cover 3 at a pretty high rate. They've come off that quite a bit, and Goff is amazing. I mean, that's what his whole career he's been great at dismantling cover 3. So I do think that's why you're seeing the negative coverage matchup for Goff. I think the Lions should be able to run the ball pretty easily, though. I know the Bear, like statistically, their run defense appears to be much better, but when you actually look at the teams they've played, an inept Vikings team, an inept Panthers team, an inept Saints team, a Chargers team that can't run the ball, like that's really propped their numbers up the last 5 weeks. So I think they're probably more who we thought they were. Plus, the Detroit offensive line is so freaking good. Even when banged up this year, they're generating 2.4 yards after contact before contact per carry. Monty and Gibbs both rank inside the top 10 in forced missed tackles and yards after contact. So the combination of that, I just feel like they're going to be able to run the ball at will, which will open up the play action stuff. I like St. Brown's matchup. I like Jameson Williams matchup as well in the pass game.
And then the pass rush is not great either. And that's always critical with Goff, right? Period.
Yep. Pass rush is not great. Even with Sweat, it's still like the last 5 weeks, they're still under 30% pressure rate, which is, God, that's just miserable. They're bottom 4 in the league, I think.
Let's go to the Colts and the Bengals here, the Week 14 matchup points live stream here at fantasypoints.com. What is up? If you're watching on the interwebs or YouTube, whatever, make sure you like and subscribe the YouTube page here. Throw us a bone with a good comment. Well, the injuries here for this game, Adam, what do we have? The Cam Taylor Britt on IR. What else popping?
Yeah,
here?
so Chase Brown's fine. He worked today. He took what would be normal practice as the number 2 back. He looked, by the way, he looked really good against Jacksonville. There's some concerns with the Colts. Braden Smith, the right tackle's got a knee injury. We'll see what happens tomorrow. That EJ Speed for IDP people who replaced Shaq Leonard.
Trey Herndon's a starter.
No, are we not? Are you talking about the Colts game, right?
Oh, yeah. Where the hell am I at?
You said Trey Herndon. That's Jacksonville.
Wait, no. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
my
right.
bad, dog.
He has a concussion. We'll talk about that.
Hold on. Just go. Just talk. Keep talking.
Okay. And then that's pretty much it. Other than that, for Cincinnati, they'll have everyone who's supposed to be playing. That's pretty. Juju Brents. Oh yeah, one of their starting corners has been out for like a year. He started working today. He's still a long shot, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, the timing of this live stream is always difficult, honestly, because you're getting valuable Thursday information as it comes in, like almost in real time, and sometimes it takes a while. I am a little worried about some of these guys, like Chase Brown with that hamstring. It's like, oh yeah, hasn't played in a couple of months. Boom, got a hamstring. But Brett, I did like him. I actually speculated this summer that Chase Brown would be a lot more involved as a runner than people thought. I think I was giving him like 140 carries. I kind of feel like that may have happened based on just last week. What'd you think?
I was right there with you. I liked the fit. I thought Chase Brown needed to land in New York with the Jets, with the Bengals, or with the Miami Dolphins, and he landed with the Bengals. I thought easy play there for him to help alleviate some of Joe Mixon's burden there, but hasn't really happened until this point. But he looks good. He's got the juice. They love that outside zone scheme. They're one of the only teams from that coaching tree that are still running the outside zone scheme the exact way they always have. The occasional backside fold, not to get overly nerdy here, John, but I mean, that's what they do. And Chase Brown is legitimately a perfect fit for that scheme. So,
great. That's, great analysis.
Hey,
great
John,
dude.
real quick. Just the inactives. I'm going to give you a couple nuggets here, which are interesting. Devontae Parker is a late inactive.
Oh, there you go.
Play. He is out. He has a knee injury. He's had lingering knee problems, but let me help you guys with the running situation. This is important if you've got Najee Harris. So Anthony McFarland is inactive tonight.
Oh.
So they're only dressing 3. Godwin Igwebuike is only a special teams player. You might remember him. He was actually a safety early in his career who changed to running back, but he's a really good special teams player.
The Lions converted him.
Yeah, Lions used to have him. So he will be their third back and only play as an emergency as a running back. So they must feel pretty good about Najee. So you should know that going into the game.
Yeah, and I probably should have put the Najee over prop but I'll throw it out there because I've actually taken that 3 of the last 5 weeks, and it's hit every time because he's gotten 15 plus carries there. So all right, before we move on, let me just make sure we're good there. So they're really basically 100% of the running back touches are probably going to be Harris and Warren.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they only dress 3, and the third guy, Igwe Buike, doesn't play on offense. He's one of the better special teams players.
All right. I'm gonna bump up Warren just a little bit here. Little peek behind the curtain. See when we have our projections that are tied to basically a Google Doc. I just make a couple of changes. Click a button, and then boom, we're off. They're live on the site. So there it is. I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll move on. Doing live inactive updates here. It's not a problem. I used to do the Sunday morning show on SiriusXM by myself as the inactives came down.
Yeah,
and updated the projections.
Wait, you used to do it yourself, really? Why did I?
Yeah, I used to do Yeah, I did a 2-hour pregame show.
Oh my gosh.
From 11 to 1 by myself. And while hosting the show solo, I updated projections for the website.
Wow. Okay.
But anywho, I am actually good at that. I mean, that's usually give me more the more chaos, the better. But Brett, real quick, we don't love it for Pittman in this game. Back to the Colts and the Bengals. Looks like they're starting to travel Awuzie.
Yep. John, dare I say we might get a back-to-back Alec Pierce performance here?
Oh, wow.
Because listen now, the Bengals are giving up the third most points to receivers in the last 5 weeks. So if they're going to shadow Pittman with the Awuzie, Josh Downs is great in the slot, but the Bengals, I mean, they've been vulnerable on the outside. I think you saw Jacksonville take advantage of that just this past week, in fact. So Alec Pierce, fire him up. Round number 2.
There it is. I was feeling that last week, man. I really was. Yeah, that's why I went with the prop, and boom, I think he hit it on that one catch. Done deal. Didn't start him in my our ACI league that I really should have, but I don't know what happened. I didn't do it. Eyeballed the guy for 2 weeks, didn't pull the trigger. And we're all back on Zach Moss, Adam, right? Like, just fire him right back up. Another 20 opportunities this week.
It's the perfect guy. It's the perfect situation. We talked about him not sharing the football. Literally, he didn't. The comical thing is Granson was the only non-quarterback to get a carry, other than Moss, of course. So it was Moss leading the way, Minshew with his scrambles for 2 yards, and Granson an inside handoff for 2 yards. So yeah, I mean, this is what you want, 100%.
John, if I will. So Zach Moss, I cautioned everyone last week on the show because, playing a really, the Tennessee Titans run defense had gotten progressively better every single game this season. So I was a little worried about it. This week, though, Cincinnati, I mean, this is an awesome spot for Zach Moss.
Yeah,
he got 8 or 10 carries inside the 10-yard line last week.
Wow.
It was 8. Yeah, 8 carries.
He
just didn't do anything with it. So, I mean, they fully trust him just to be the absolute dude. I think he's going to smash this week.
Nice story, John. Based on what happened to him in Buffalo where they wanted him off the team, that's a good for him to revive his career.
Thing that threw me off is my recollection is Tennessee opened the year nasty against the run. Then they fell off.
And they fell off a cliff. And then
now they're back. You know what I mean? Like, so that threw me off. I kind of presumed it was like a plus matchup or just slightly above average, but that's neither here nor there. We're never going to get them all right here. But how about Joey Mixon last week? I mean, you got to give credit here, but I don't. The Colt D is there. What are you seeing from the Colt D overall? Because they're actually been a lot better.
Yeah, their pressure rate has it's gone through the roof the last 5 weeks compared to where they were earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, they were like a 30% pressure rate team. The last 5 weeks, they've been up like 39, 40% territory. So some of those young guys they've drafted over the years, Kwity Paye, those guys are starting to play good. So I think that's what you're seeing there.
Oh, John, you should. Big Grove is back. Grover Stewart, their best run stopping
Oh,
tackle.
yeah, right. Yeah.
He is. That's all he does, John.
Yeah.
That's why they call him Big Grove.
Yeah. I could see Mixon, not doing all that well here in this one, you're
Yep.
certainly not. You're certainly going to roll with them in your season long, most likely. And
Mhm.
same deal with Jamar Chase. Jaguars at Browns. Adam, I mean, like, we really need to do like a DNA test here with Lawrence because I mean, this is
The
ridiculous.
second time, yeah, it's the second time he's had an ankle injury, and he played. Well, I'm not saying he's playing this time, but he played last year when he had it. So he doesn't. Okay, they're calling it, as Doug Peterson called it when he announced what it was, a right high ankle sprain. If you watch the video, it's really not.
No, it's not a high. Yeah,
Yeah,
Doc Attic said that to me this morning.
Yeah, so I watched the video. I had other people look at it for me just to see if I was right. So it's not your normal ankle sprain. It's a little worse than that. But the great thing is he took the boot off after yesterday. He watched practice, and today he started working. So I wouldn't rule it out. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Forget about Christian Kirk with his sports hernia. I believe he's going to have that surgery here from Dr. Myers. So that sucks. The kid Washington did a great job filling in for him.
Yeah.
Zay Jones is back on the injury report with the same knee injury, though they do expect him to play, but I just figured I'd mention that. His pass targets obviously should go up. And then look, they've got some defensive injuries. They've got some concerns. All of a sudden they've got some injury concerns going forward here.
And also for the Browns, you got Amari Cooper.
He's in concussion protocol. He hasn't even advanced yet to do anything. So that's not good. Tomorrow's a huge day. He has to get on the field tomorrow to get cleared. Pretty much, it's extremely rare for a player to get cleared Saturday if he from concussion protocol if he hasn't done anything. It's like 1 out of every 100. That's how rare it is. Denzel Ward is getting close to being cleared from his shoulder, and barring something unforeseen, it should be Flacco again, who did a good job considering.
Yeah, Juan Thornhill.
He worked today. He's had a calf injury for several weeks. He got some work in today.
What about Njoku?
He's going to play. He's got this lingering knee injury. This is their protocol with him. He doesn't practice Wednesday or one of the 2 days. He doesn't practice, and then he plays. Now today, they gave him one more day. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't play because they've been pretty open about it. They're not going to practice him much. This is a lingering problem that he's got.
Brett, I know in Joe Dolan's matchup article, Jaguars don't have a good rushing grade this week. O-line is kind of struggling. I don't know what the Browns are at this point defensively. I guess they're better at home. They are at home here, but your thoughts here? I mean, are we bailing from the Jaguar offense here in a tougher spot if Lawrence can't go?
Yeah, so Cleveland's kind of reverted back to where they were last year. So last year their run defense was really, really bad at times. They brought in a bunch of meat to put in the middle of that defense, and it's just not working out. So I think the last 5 weeks they're giving up 1.84 yards before contact per carry, which is a bottom 5 number in the NFL. And then so that said, I think the Jags maybe could move the ball a little bit on the ground, but the problem is like they've been so bad running the ball. It's like bad on bad here. So I don't know. Something's going to have to give. ETN has been very big play dependent, man. Like if he does not hit a big play, his numbers are gross. Little Kenneth Walker syndrome going on where it's just like 1 yard run, 0 yard run, 1 yard run, 30-yard run, 1 yard. Like there's just nothing in between, man.
I was kicking myself for not giving him more love this summer, and I had to take that back because ever since I started saying, "Oh, I can't believe I didn't give him more love," I'm normally all in on like young, versatile guys, and I'm like, "What the hell was I thinking?" And then 5 weeks later, I'm like, "No, I take that back." I know what I was thinking. He's not very good.
John, real quick, their left tackle. So they're down 2 left tackles. Cam Robinson was out; he's on IR.
Walker Little.
Yeah, and he's got a hamstring strain. He hasn't done anything. So they got the kid Blake Hance, who started 5 games 2 years ago for the Browns at right tackle. That's not good. So their line has struggled anyway.
Boy.
They got problems.
Not good for Calvin Ridley. Not a good schematic matchup. Boy. Brett, I did give you a shout out in the waiver wire report because when Parker Washington started the ball, I looked at our prospect guide, you're right up. And, one of the main points you made was good on contested catches. First touchdown, I would call that a contested catch. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's it. He's a completely different slot player than Christian Kirk, which is kind of funny. Kirk is all finesse, route running. Parker Washington is physicality and yards after catch. So it'd be interesting to see how they kind of juxtapose those two roles, because they're very different players that are playing the same position, basically.
Like a Golden Tate type of player?
Yeah. I would a more physical version of that, even. Like,
he's built. Yeah, this kid's pretty built.
He looks like a running.
Golden Tate was pretty built, I thought.
Yeah,
I guess.
Parker's tape at Penn State, he legit looked like a running back playing wide receiver.
There you go.
Well, Golden Tate was a running back.
He was. That's right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. To that. Yeah. I mean, not to argue or anything. I mean, we're splitting freaking hairs big time here. But anyways, it is a good matchup though for Ingram. And you got to think, right? Guys like a tight end.
Yep.
If you're CJ Beathard, I mean, you're looking for Ingram in the slot.
Yep.
And all that.
On the other side, John, real quick, I like Jerome Ford quite a bit.
Man, he's good. Like,
he's bringing it, man. I'm so glad I mentioned him a year ago or 2 years or whatever it was. I was like, this is a guy who could wind up being the handcuff. They loved him. He just had to mature a little bit. And remember he had the bad ankle and he played the next week?
Oh, yeah. I stashed him in our Dynasty League last December, and he's my fourth back. I start him every week. It's a pretty good fourth back, even though.
What a great job. Yeah.
My wide receiver 3 is, Joe Dolan. That's how bad I am at that position. But Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. What's up with Derek Carr? Can you talk to people and have this man just go away?
Yeah, he is working a little bit limited. Taysom Hill is actually the one who's really concerning. He's got 2 injuries.
Yeah, and Shaheed.
Yeah, yes, you should be concerned, but I didn't expect him to play anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the big one is Taysom Hill, because look, he's been a thing this year. It's actually he's not going away like I thought he might. That's why I traded him. But yeah, he has a left hand injury and a foot injury, so that we have to see what happens. Shaheed has missed 5 straight practices. Carr's progressing through the protocol, but John, it's the same right shoulder he did weeks ago. He's got crunched a couple, twice now. His body's been crunched.
They've been downplaying the non-concussion problems though a little bit this week.
His body's beat up, man. Though his body.
Oh yeah, true. Well, even if he does go, he may stink. That's a good point. And Carolina's they got all their dudes back last week.
They're very competitive on defense. That's not been the problem. They're pretty much all back, and they expect J.C. Horn to play more this week.
Okay,
because he's he's been out a long time, and they don't want to overdo it. But their offense is a problem.
Yeah, but Brett, I mean, for what it's worth, Bryce had a pretty decent game in the first matchup. They do play a lot of man, so they've got a shot, against man, I guess. Mingo did okay. Adam, is Thielen, is there anything going on with Thielen? He was out of practice.
No, they've wanted Mingo to be a factor. It just took them a while to get there. What happened was they said that Young and Mingo, just the timing had been off earlier this season. Yeah. And now they're getting it together, and this is great. The last 2 games, he's looked really good. Look, they drafted him to be an X receiver. And that's his future, but their line, John, has got some significant protection issues. This is it's a problem.
What jumps out, Brett, to you for this matchup? Then we'll move on. Anything fantasy related, offensive related that we haven't covered?
I just like both slot guys in this game. Adam Thielen against Alontae Taylor. Yeah. Taylor gave up that touchdown on Monroe St. Brown. I do think if the Lions don't get out to a 21-0 lead, they probably give up more passing yards than they did in that game. Mm-hmm. New Orleans. Also Bryce Young. I know his stats were gross last week. He actually made some throws though.
Yeah, he did. I
was pretty impressed watching that tape. I know it was like a 170-yard outing, but I thought he looked pretty good.
That's encouraging. Good.
Yeah. New Orleans. Chris Olave's back to being their main slot guy again. So I don't know. But him against Troy Hill is a win for them. That's probably the matchup I like the most there on
for sure. And Panthers getting run on actually. So
they don't have
it is the most boring elite season ever by Alvin Kamara.
It
right?
works though.
Yep.
It works. Oh, it works. Not that I have his old ass. Houston Texans at the New York Jets. Adam, back to you quickly for the injuries.
Yep.
Looks like Breece Hall is a little sketchy.
We'll see tomorrow. Comes down to tomorrow.
I picked up Dal Cook.
I saw that. You beat me to it. I saw that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I may have to start his ass.
It's funny because he keeps telling the media that he's good. He feels fine and he's raring to go. But other than a couple selected carries, I was told he clearly is not the same player.
He does look a little better though. I don't know if Brett,
yes.
Yeah.
A little bit, but John, he's not close to what he was.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's his speed. It's speed through the holes. The issue.
He's one of those guys where like the drop off isn't really noticeable to most naked eyes, but that difference is what made him good.
His acceleration was the thing, John. His acceleration,
exactly.
Especially when you're evaluating him behind this offensive line.
Yeah,
this might be the worst run blocking unit I've ever seen since I've been in this business.
Like
0.43 yards before contact per carry on average, but it's so bad, and it's not just like MAs. Like every team has MAs time and time again, but they're legit just losing every one-on-one they have. I mean,
it's killing me, man. Jeez, that bad?
It's bad. I mean, I'm being a little dramatic, but it's bad.
Man, I see their O-line coach is new. I've never heard of the man.
Keith Carter's actually pretty good. It's just the talent level. Dwayne Brown's, he's playing
ancient.
Yeah, he's had all sorts of shoulder problems. If you look at the guys that they're playing now, Becton is obviously playing with the knee issue. Tittman's a rookie who's talented. There's a reason why Laken Tomlinson's bounced around a little bit, and they're down to a third string right tackle. Wes Schweitzer's having to play though he has a calf injury. This is bad. It's just not good.
It's not a good matchup either. For the running game, we're gonna get Zach Wilson back. I kind of think it kind of helps maybe Conklin and Garrett Wilson. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Brett, but I'm not.
I like Conklin a lot, John.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you take he left weeks 1 and 8 a little early. He was banged up, no serious injuries, but he's banged up. If you remove those weeks from his sample, Conklin ranks inside the top 10 in yards per route run, targets per route run. Now CJ Uzomah is gone for the rest of the year. He had a 20% route participation. Even if we're really conservative and say Conklin gets 10% of that, or I'm sorry, half of it, so another 10% added on to hit, like he's a legit play. And the Texans have given up the 5th most points to tight ends.
100%.
That's their defense has been like they've exceeded expectations by a mile this year, but tight end is the one area they haven't really locked down. So I love Conklin in this game. I think he makes it easy on Zach as well, and that should be the play.
Totally agree. That is why we have him maybe a little higher than usual at 15. Hell, I got him higher than Chiggy. And
John, I could tell you if Aaron Rodgers had been the quarterback this year, I would have said he'd be a top 10 tight end.
I agree. We were all in, man. We were all in. I told
you last year, they thought his ability to run after the catch was elite. And he got screwed by the quarterback situation last year, and unfortunately again. Oh, by the way, we should mention Noah Brown's going to get cleared to play tomorrow. That, as I understand it, the big one is Schultz. Like he worked yesterday and he didn't work today. I don't know why. So that's troubling. So we'll see hopefully he works tomorrow. We'll see.
Brett, I'm not feeling it here for digits for CJ Stroud. Just not.
It's going to be probably his toughest matchup of the year so far. So, yeah. And he's going to be down Tank Dell, obviously. It's just, I don't love it. I don't love it for him. The kid is, I can't doubt him at this point, but for fantasy purposes, I don't think it's a play.
Yep. Vikings at the Raiders. Injury wise, Adam, what do we got here?
All right. Couple things you should know before. Okay. So Jefferson's good to go. Here's the thing you got to understand. The game before the bye, Marcus Peters got benched. They don't have a number 2 corner. They don't. So this is, I know they've been stingy, but you saw Mahomes in the second half of that game have success.
That is a good point.
Yeah, and I know people, you got to know this stuff when you're trying to do matchups, because I know Jack Jones was claimed off waivers because he knows the scheme. He's not good enough. He's also smaller. Meek Robertson has started. He's a nickel corner. He's 5'8" and a quarter.
Yep.
A friend of mine who was on their staff before coached him. Great, good kid, competitive. He's a nickel. He's too small. So they don't have a number 2 corner. And I don't think Bennett's ready. Jacorian Bennett, who was a 4th rounder this year. So I mean, what I told you, John, on Wednesday's show, I don't see why they can't have success against this defense.
Yeah, not the best schematic matchup per the tool for Dobbs, Brett. But to Adam's point, I think Nate Hobbs is pretty decent. So I mean, good. Outside matchup for Addison and Jefferson are good.
They are, and on paper as well, the Raiders give up the 3rd most fantasy points outside wide receivers. So
there you go.
There we go. And I will say, I think it's going to be a tough go for Josh Jacobs, and you can expand on that. All the data really points to the Vikings, but I will say also their pass rush has not been that good. So I like Devontae. Like, I think Devontae will be like an 8-catch game for Devontae. Good schematic matchup for him and Jacoby Myers.
Yep, I like Devontae a lot in this game. To your point, Minnesota's been way stingier against the run than anyone had anticipated. I think their efficiency metrics are top 3, I think, in the league, and as far as run defense goes. So I mean, they're very stingy.
Yep. Vikings offense. I mean, Dobbs, still a top 14 option at worst, and then Madison probably, he's going to get the ball. He's still the guy. The Raiders are getting run on here, so it could actually be an Alexander Madison game. Believe it or not,
could be.
Of course, in theory, anything could be.
Exactly.
It could be a great Will Dissly game this week. He is going to suit up as we transition to the Niners hosting the Seahawks. Ken Walker, Charbonnet, what do we got here? Injury.
Okay, so I told John he doesn't have really. Here's the thing with Charbonnet. He is a bone bruise. He doesn't have a sprained knee or anything like that. What happened was in the last game, he fell hard and it swelled because he bruised his knee. It just has to calm down. They were wrapping up practice within the last hour, so I don't have their stuff. But that's what's that?
They were LP today, both of them, Charbonnet and Walker.
Okay, it's good that they worked today. Okay, good, because they think to start yesterday, they thought there's a very good chance both would be available. Now, the key would be then if they're both available, what's the split? That's the thing. And Charbonnet, John, is a good pass protector. He's also, guys, I told you weeks ago, they wanted Charbonnet to be a closer because Walker's not instinctive like Charbonnet is. Charbonnet could also handle volume.
Well, bad matchup. Niners allowing the 2nd fewest yards before contact per attempt over the last 5 weeks. I'm not even sure who that favors between those two backs.
Hey, real quick, Armstead's probably not going to play, though.
Okay.
That definitely matters.
Yep.
Well, and Brett, any other thoughts? And Geno, I do believe that they have, I guess, the tackle play to potentially hold up, but I just don't know if I trust Geno, who crapped the bed in this matchup. I know he's better off physically than he was just 2 weeks ago, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I need YOLO ball Geno back. Like, they got the tackle play. He's been a lot more conservative this year than he was last year.
Yeah.
I just need him to start chucking it, man. Just go after. Ambry Thomas is gettable. Charvarius Ward has given up against teams with where their passers can't get home. Charvarius Ward has been very gettable. So I'm going after these guys if I'm Geno. Your question about
what it might be real quick.
Yeah.
Last week I was kicking myself when he opened up firing against Dallas. I'm like, should have known they play man. And he knows what the hell he's seeing out there.
Yes. The picture is a lot clearer. San Fran's going to do a lot of. They're going to play some cover 3 as well, but they're going to play a lot of man. And I think Geno, DK Metcalf he's pretty unstoppable. So as far as the running backs go, you asked about that. I think if the game script goes the way I think it will, that favors Charbonnet probably. They're going to be in some more pass sets. He's going to be in there pass protecting and catching the checkdowns and the dump off. So that's my 2 cents there.
Okay. And then not the best schematic matchup for Brock Purdy. I mean, we covered this 2 weeks ago and we were exactly right. Except for I liked Kittle and he didn't do it. But, Brock Purdy had his 2nd worst fantasy game on Thanksgiving in this matchup. They play a lot of zone. Debo against zone. That held up. Ayuk scored, but it was that fluky play in the end zone here. So I don't know about the Niner passing game this week.
Yeah, only thing I'm concerned about is Tyreek Woolen was benched and now he's back in the lineup. Like, and Ayuk's going to work against him a lot.
It was benched?
Yeah. Temporarily, just temporarily.
Right. Yeah, he's back out there now. But, long story short, I just don't think he's playing as good as they want him to be playing. So, and Ayuk is just a monster running routes.
He is. No, I mean, can you imagine Ayuk, like, I know everyone does this, but I had this thought, like, if he went to like the Chiefs.
Oh my God.
I mean, are you kidding me?
I know.
Are you kidding me? Like, he would be up there with Tyreek if he could handle it, Anyways, so not the best spot. And certainly Kittle has been a stud, and then McCaffrey you would think get the ball with a challenging matchup, maybe even a little Elijah Mitchell late in the game. Buffalo at KC.
By the way, Mitchell's hurt. I should mention that he is in practice this week. We'll see what happens.
Oh, okay. What other injuries here for Buffalo and KC here, Mr. C?
Buffalo's clean. KC that now Pacheco's got a shoulder contusion. It's extremely rare for a player with that type of injury to miss a game, and they're just letting it calm down. Now, if obviously he doesn't practice tomorrow, you got problems if you have him. And
I'm sure he'll still be putting his body on the line, though.
Okay, and you know the way he runs. I was just going to get to that, so that you got to understand that going in. But if I have him, I'm a little bit concerned he hasn't practiced yet. But that was the plan. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. McKinnon is trending towards being cleared to play, not done deal. They got to see how he responds for tomorrow.
You think there's a handcuff there? I don't know about it between him and Edwards-Helaire. I guess McKinnon.
Yeah, they talked up Clyde after last week's game.
He's looked bigger but decent lately.
Yeah, they think he's doing a better job. Now McKinnon, because he's so brittle, the injuries really caught. Like last year, he was incredible. You're down the stretch. Fire. Yeah. But this year, his body's breaking down a little bit.
Yeah, very predictable. Well, Brett, matchup wise, I think we're looking at a L'Jarius Sneed travel situation with Steph Diggs.
Yeah, for sure. Which means potentially some Gabe Davis.
Oh yeah,
here we go.
I've also been very critical of the Chiefs' pass rush lately. I said Jordan Love would have a great game last week because when Jordan Love gets those 7-on-7s, he looks great. Josh Allen's very similar in that regard. When he's not pressured, he will literally destroy you and carve you up. So I think on the season, the Chiefs' pass pressure numbers look decent, but when you get into some situational efficiency metrics, that's actually not that good. I think Buffalo should take advantage of that.
Also, KC's run D has been bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I don't know what's going on with that. So I would
have one dude in that D line, and that's Chris Jones. If you can clock him up,
true.
You can take care of business.
Adam, Joe Brady showing a commitment here out of the gate to James Cook.
I always need more of a sort of a
sample size.
Yeah, I need more than one game, but if you look at Cook's carries in the second game. And the crazy game against Philly in the rain, where they throw it more than they like to because they wind up getting behind. Yeah, I would say I think that's fair. And they're trying to calm Josh Allen down, but he still had 51 attempts against Philly. So yeah, I would say there's a little bit of truth to that with the running. Yeah.
And then for KC, Brett, I don't know, man. Like, I guess our guy Rashee Rice, yet another good matchup for him, and he's looking great. But I just don't know this schematically. This doesn't look good for Mahomes.
Yeah, some of that is like he hasn't had dudes to throw to against heavy zone teams. Like I think that's just part of it. Rashee breaking out, I think, really helps. His work after the catch is so freaking good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I really like the idea of getting him in space against Buffalo's. They play a softer, zone coverage. So I think that should bode well for Rashee. Not sure what you do with the other guys though. Like the whole Watson, MVS, Tony situation, Sky Moore. It's like, oh my gosh,
Sky Moore's getting worse. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Like he's getting worse. Let's move on, and that's saying something. Denver at the LA Chargers. Talking about getting worse. if Austin Eckler cannot run on Denver, and I know Denver hasn't been a sieve, but at times they have been lately. It may be over here. What are you doing with Eckler here, Brett? Real quick.
It's weird that it came out today that they're opening the competition up for carries or whatever. So I think Schefter reported that or something, but
it was just it wasn't a report. It was what happened. It's what the coach said. He just took the quote.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it's like a natural progression though. Like Eckler's not getting it done, so I'm not surprised.
And John, the head coach is he's from the run the ball crowd.
Mm-hmm.
He's wanted to have a commitment to the running game since he took the job. Then he saw that Eckler's a space player, so you can't really do that. But he wants to run the football, and they're gonna look. This is Brett's been talking about. He doesn't look as good. First of all, that's part of it. And they've got Josh Kelly, who last year at times he looked okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denver's run defense is awful too. To your point, John, worst run defense in the NFL. Via efficiency metrics. So,
yeah. Do you think we'll get a travel situation with Keenan Allen and Patty Surtain? I'm not even afraid of that because I don't know if we do because Surtain doesn't go inside.
Keenan Allen's played in the slot like the least of it, like probably the last 5 years this year. So he's played on the outside 70% of his snaps. So I do think you'll see Surtain on him in those 70% or whatever it ends up.
Yeah, that is a testament to Keenan Allen, by the way. Like it's normally the opposite.
Yeah. He's slowly been trending that way the last few years, working more and more outside, and his yards per route run on the outside is second to only Tyreek Hill, I believe, over the last 3 years.
He's a
legit outside receiver.
He talked about in the preseason the complete difference from the way he was used under Joe Lombardi. Said it's one of the most noticeable things when they saw what his role would be when he got to OTAs. He's like, "Wow, I'm going to be on the outside a lot," and that's what's happened.
Yeah. Yeah, good matchup for the tight ends if desperate. I feel like I have bad luck though. Like if I go Everett, then guaranteed Parham scores. I actually lost a prop last week on Adam Troutman over 9 yards. That was dumb, but he did have a ball thrown to him in the end zone that Russ, if he made a better throw, Troutman may have caught it. They may have won the game on that throw, and I would have won the damn prop. I don't think Russ is playing that well here.
Russ bus is breaking down, folks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Any other thoughts? I think the Charger D is they're actually getting better even without Bosa lately.
Yeah, some of that may be schedule related. I'm not sure, but
yeah. Anything else on this game though? Denver running the ball.
Yeah, that's it.
Although I will say, is Judy? I still feel like Judy's going to have one or two big games before it's all said and done here.
Man, I hope so.
Well, here's the thing though, and Peyton was asked about it. Russ is not pulling the trigger. He's back to doing that again. There are throws to be made, and he's not making them. He's super indecisive. He was awful last week.
Yeah. That's a good nugget.
Russ's time to throw their last 5 games is 2.9 seconds. He's literally just holding the ball forever.
Yeah. He's back to what he did in Seattle. That was a big problem for him.
Well, that makes him more of a desperation only play than Judy at this juncture. Not a good schematic matchup for Cortland Sutton, I saw. Philly at Dallas. Adam, take it away here. Start him if you got him, right? Including Dallas Goedert.
This over, I don't usually talk about this stuff. I love the over. It hit, I think, the first game might have been 51 or 52. Yeah, well, Goddard also got hurt. And that's when he got hurt. He broke his forearm in that game. If you look at the Eagles have the worst graded secondary by any metric in the National Football League, and it's not even close. They're terrible. Their third down defense is the worst, by the way, in the National Football League. They've got the oldest secondary in the National Football League, and it shows. 4 out of their 5 starters, including Bradley Roby, are 30 years or older.
I told you about the run D a couple of weeks ago that they're not.
It's starting a little bit of leakage. I think what's happened is these young kids are getting a little tired.
Yeah.
But the big issue is you're not going there to run the football. You're going there to throw it. This is a pass fest game. You don't have to worry about weather for the first time in 3 games for the Eagles. There's no rain. You don't have to worry about that. This is as you said, start them if you have them. Jake Ferguson should kill them.
Kill them. Yeah.
I mean, I know this is a pride game for the defense because they've been absolutely embarrassed for several weeks.
True.
I just don't. You know what? That's fine, but the Eagles don't have the pass rush, John. Last year they had 70 sacks.
We do have Bradley Roby out there now, Brett. Maybe there was a time I thought he was really good, but that was
Years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, the Eagles have been the second worst team against outside receivers and the second worst team against slot receivers, which makes CeeDee Lamb just. I mean, he should annihilate them, honestly.
Let's keep it going. Moving on. Well, Adam, DeAndre Swift, you saw the run the ball guys outside of the NovaCare.
The Eagles are not a run. Look, now I'll say this. Sirianni wants to throw the ball. It's a big reason why the Eagles hired him. But Swift's role it's been shrinking.
Yeah.
I would say this. There is a chance they make a little bit more of a commitment. But you know what's going to happen, John? It's going to be because I deal with coaches my entire career. They get caught up in a pass tempo game. Oh, you guys are doing that? We're going to do this. I'm telling you that this happens and it's going to happen. This is a throw ball game for both teams. You know, Dak by the way, give Brian Schottenheimer props here. He's got a big influence on McCarthy. There's no question about it. I told you what happened in 2020. Look at McCarthy's never been like this, John. Never.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, and Schottenheimer, even analytics guy and all that. Can the Eagle O-line, hold up and protect and
I mean, I think they'll be okay. I mean, look, they did a good job against Bosa last week.
I think it's
they'll be
very, very important to get Goddard going. Like
Hurts. We should call this out. Hurts played poorly last week. He is. I don't know what the numbers show in terms of hold on to the ball. John, he's gotten plenty of time. He's just not decisive.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in his own head right now, is what I'm told the tape looks like.
Oh wow.
Well, some of it's their play design. It's really bad. I probably said it 20 times this year on this very show, but everything they call is vertical concepts. There's no in-breaking routes. Yeah. I think they hit AJ Brown on a slant last week for the first time since week 2. Like, he's the slant god. Why? I don't understand how that's even a thing.
And they don't even do it with Goddard to the level that you would think when Goddard's
No, Goddard dominates outside the numbers for them. Like he's a sail concept, deep out off play action. Like they don't work the middle of the field at all. It's kind of crazy. And so Hurts was in his own head last week for sure, holding the ball forever. But some of that is like he's got 4 vertical routes and an extra pass blocker, and you're just like, what is he supposed to freaking do? He can't run right now because he's clearly banged up. So I don't know. It was very frustrating to watch as a guy who likes to evaluate quarterback tape. So Swift, to your point, Adam, his rush share the last 5 weeks has dropped to 45.5%.
I don't get that.
His route participation, this is the scariest part, down to 32.5%.
He's Gainwell out there catching balls last week.
Yeah, and John, this love affair this staff has with Gainwell is just I don't get it. He's not explosive. He's not. Let's call it like this. He's not the player I think we all thought he'd be. My nickname for him is Kenny Grindwell because he's a grinder. He's not explosive at all. Yeah, but he's a great pass protector. He IDs pass rushers real well, better than Swift. That's fine. But the odd thing, and this is what's troublesome, when it was a game in the first quarter, Gainwell was in the game. That's not what you want if you've got Swift on your team.
Yeah.
Right. So
let's go to Tennessee, Miami. 2 Monday Night Football games. Right out of the gate here. It's in Miami. Titans are 13-point road dogs. Not a good spot here. Not a good spizot, if you will, for Derrick Henry. I mean, we'll see.
He's
but
fine, by the way, just real quick, he's fine physically. He doesn't have a concussion. He's
okay.
Fine.
Good schematic matchup for Will Levis, for what it's worth. I don't know about D Hop here. Probably going to see, as we talked about on Wednesday, I guess, Brett, right? A lot of Jalen Ramsey. What are your thoughts on the Titan offense?
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of a lot of these matchups. Ramsey and Howard are just an extremely dynamic duo. If you were going to tell me Hopkins would get in the slot a little bit more, I'd be open to it. It's just he doesn't play in the slot enough. I think it's like 20% on the year. Not great. I do like Chiggy. Miami has been very soft against tight ends. Chiggy, I think I said this on the show, your Sirius XM show yesterday, John. Since week 5, Chig is 6th in targets per route run, number steadily increased as well with Will Levis in the fold here. So, his yards per route runs like 1.6 with Levis on the field. Route participation's gone up. I do like him. I think we have him 10th in coverage grade as well.
Yep.
So
I need him, so I'm going to get cheeky with it this week. But speaking of tight ends, by the way, Miami, they have eliminated that position from their offense.
I know. It's like we expected, though, John. They didn't have anyone who could catch the ball there.
Yeah.
Well, that Hill guy had, I think, did he score a touchdown 2 weeks ago, Julian Hill?
He caught a ball in the red zone.
Okay, or something. I'm like, wait a minute. What was that guy's name?
Is he really a tight end, though? He looks like a small, very small tight end to me.
Okay, yeah. He is, yeah. John, here's a question for you, though. What was that tight end's name for the Saints named Hill? Last name Hill from many years ago.
Josh Hill.
Josh Hill, good call.
Yeah. He retired. He was in Lions camp this year and then retired preseason.
Well, it's funny because I remember as soon as I saw him, I'm like, is that Josh? It can't be Josh Hill. Can't be.
Oh yeah, anyway. Josh Hill. He was for a half an hour. He was like a thing in fantasy.
Anyway,
well, good spot for Miami. What about Mostert, real quick, Adam?
He's fine. No, this is their protocol. All right. Oh, here's the good thing. He was dealing with 2 injuries. Now it's only 1, and it's the knee, and he's definitely playing. Yeah, I
can't believe they fed HN the ball last week, but what do I know?
Well, they blow him. No, John. He said he was good to go. Now he does have a ribs injury now, but he's fine. He worked today. He's good to go.
What was that, Brett?
I said that is the blowout formula for Miami.
Oh, I know. I just thought it would be with Jeff Wilson, not freaking Achan.
I hear you. Yeah, true.
Yeah, most of Achan's production actually is when they're blowing the other team out. Like he's neutral game script. He really hasn't done that much, surprisingly.
That is true, and I guess I was just a lot of it. I thought came in the second half when the game was already decided. But hey, they want to play him. They want to play him. And then last but not least, obviously the Miami passing game is looking good. Green Bay at the Giants. Well, we'll go right. Jaden Reed, Adam, because I was with Brett. He brought him up. I was already on it, but he's still dinged up.
Yeah, he's fine. He's going to play. He's got a chest injury he's had for a couple weeks. The big one is Watson. It's another hamstring problem. That's why, if you remember, John, he missed the first 3 games.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. He's had chronic hamstring problems going back after he was drafted. Remember, he missed almost their entire offseason program. This is just what you deal with this guy. It's unfortunate.
He dealt with this in college too. Like he had a breakout sophomore year, tore a hamstring, then COVID happened. That's why he ended up being a 5th-year senior. He just couldn't get on the field. So
he has really, the light bulb has gone on though. Last 2 or 3 games, man. He really looks deadly out there. Like I want that guy next year in drafts if he's like a 5th-round pick. Like I'm doing it all day long. Although maybe I'll have a man crush on Jaden Reed. But Adam, it does look like we might get Aaron Jones back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Not yet. He's got to get through the next 2 days. I definitely would not give him a thumbs up yet. He's got to get through the next 2 days.
Good matchup overall I would say for Jordan Love. I mean, the Giant pass rush, Brett, has kind of disappeared, and they play man. So I'm in.
Their pass rush is like 29% pressure rate the last 5 weeks. I keep using the term 7-on-7. That's what you're looking at this week with Jordan Love. Again, he looks great when he's clean. He's been really decisive. I mean, the film the last 3 or 4 games has been just outstanding. The Giants also give up the most fantasy points in the league to slot receivers for over the last 5 weeks. So Jaden Reed comes in as he's a smash start to me.
I'm going to give you a little nugget here from a good buddy of mine who he's got the Packers as one of his teams this season. He does advanced scouting for an NFL team. He said he's never seen Love this decisive, even no matter. Let's put aside whether it's protected well or not. He said he's never seen him look like this.
Yeah,
and his accuracy, John. He's never been accurate.
Yeah,
he's super accurate right now. I don't want to see this come out of nowhere. It's just a little surprising he's this good, but it looks awesome. He does.
What's the number, Brett? Like you got to get 1,000 reps or something at quarterback.
Yeah, that's the old. Who's the old coach? He had his 5 rules for quarterbacks.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
What it was like?
3-year starter, 1,000 dropbacks, team captain. Like he had, but yeah, I think 1,000 dropbacks was the number in his rules for a quarterback. But Yeah, so Love's mechanics have gotten better, and decisiveness does that, right? Because you're playing within the structure of the offense. You're getting your feet set. The ball's coming out quickly. That's going to help your accuracy. Small,
and he's not bailing, John. He also was a bailer earlier in his career. And remember, the true test of this kid is, remember how they wouldn't let him throw the ball last year?
Yeah,
they clearly didn't trust him. He's dealing it, man. And although they still really need a veteran, that was probably a mistake. But the bottom line is he's dealing, and he's making it look. Although I like Dobbs to get the ball more, he's making everyone around him better. That's a true testament of a young quarterback.
Yeah,
I know the salary cap situation, lends itself to being aggressive to play these guys. My little soapbox item all year, though, has been rooting for Jordan Love, thinking it was going to happen because, let's be the poster child for these other dummy owners. Guys, it's like you're drafting these guys. These are investments. You're literally ruining your own investments. Like if Jordan Love got drafted by the Jets, he'd be done.
Yeah.
Probably. So that's a wrap. Let's see what the time is here. I think we did pretty well on that. 1 minute, 1 hour and 10 minutes, baby. Good pace, good information, hopefully good vibes. We thank our guy Tommy T for manning the ship, if you will, for Brett Whitefield and Adam Caplan. I'm John Hansen. Good luck in week 14. We'll catch you next week here at fantasypoints.com.